about how things like mantras and affirmations and sorry, now you can see my face, and giving yourself little pep talks and such can help you to change your mindset, which will then help you change your habits. So on Saturday, if you missed my video, I'm sorry. I had a really crazy week last week and didn't get a chance to record it before Friday, so I did it on Saturday. So if you didn't see my Saturday post, you can go back to it. But on Saturday, I talked about brain grooves and how repeating the same habits or thoughts, movements, actions, whatever, over and over again, it actually solidifies and deepens those brain grooves. And it's a physical thing. It's real. It happens. You can see it in people's brains. There are lots of really great resources if you want to research more into that. But it's a real thing. Whenever you have a thought that you repeat over and over again, it actually reinforces the connection in your brain that makes that thought, like it actually makes a real physical channel in your brain. And the more you repeat it, the stronger, the thicker, the deeper it gets. And so over time, all those reinforced thoughts become what your brain goes to immediately. You've done this your whole life without ever really thinking about it. A really bad example would be like memorizing math times tables in elementary school or something like that, where you just repeat the same thing over and over again all the time, just rote memorization. Over time, those connections get stronger and you memorize it and it sticks with you long term. Well, it's the same thing with mindset and habits, but mindset is a bigger factor, I think, in our overall success, because if you think you can succeed, you will. But if you think you're going to fail, you will. So if we can get our mindset straight and on the right path, then you'll be able to succeed in pretty much whatever you want to do, which is definitely good news. So these brain grooves, they're physical manifestations of thoughts. And we want to direct our brains in the right direction. We want to be in charge of which thoughts are the ones that we immediately come to. And the stronger that those thoughts get, the more quickly your brain has those reactions. So we're going to have a hypothetical situation here. Let's pretend that your goal is to eat more vegetables and like it, because let's say you really hate vegetables, you'd rather just live without them. So your old thought process would be like, let's say you're at a restaurant and you're ordering dinner and the side options are like macaroni and cheese, French fries, or steamed veggies. And you're like, forget the steamed veggies, those are gross. They're tasteless, they're watery, they're always overcooked or squishy, or the texture is weird, or I don't like those. And you'd rather go for the French fries or mac and cheese. Well, that's not serving you very well, especially if you're doing that a lot, because then you're having a lot of excess calories and not enough vitamins and minerals and fiber and just bulk in your food. You're not eating enough, like volume wise. Or if you are eating the right volume, then it's too many calories, right? So then you're gaining weight and you're not reaching your goals. So you want to replace that old mindset with a more positive one that's going to serve you better, which would be things like, in the past I didn't like vegetables, but I can learn to like vegetables now. Or things like vegetables fill me up. They help me not to be hungry. Vegetables give me vitamins and fiber, and I want to help prevent disease. It helps to prevent, eating lots of vegetables prevents things like colon cancer and heart disease, and I want to prevent those lifestyle diseases. Or even just something as simple as they're actually pretty good when they're seasoned properly. So you just replace the old mindset with a new one, old thoughts with the new ones, things that weren't serving you with things that are going to serve you better. It doesn't have to be an entire life shift all at once, just baby steps, a little bit at a time. Just, I used to not like vegetables, but now I'm trying to eat more of them. Just switch the thought process a little bit. And then over time, as you're doing that repeatedly, like the next time you go to a restaurant, instead of getting the French fries or the mac and cheese, order the steamed vegetables. Maybe you won't eat them all, but they're at least they're there and you can taste them. Or you could say, well, I do want vegetables, but is there maybe, could I have them sauteed instead of steamed? Because then they'll be a little tastier, but then you're at least getting the fiber and the vitamins, even if it is covered in butter, right? So it's little steps at a time. And you take time to just reinforce that you're going to eat more vegetables. Even if they're covered with something, you're going to eat more vegetables because it has more fiber. And then you can kind of wean your taste buds to adjust to more of like a, less butter, less salt, more veggie kind of ratio over time, but you're still taking baby steps to making that progress. I want to give you a real life example though. So there is this guy, Hal Elrod. He wrote the book, The Miracle Morning. You've heard me talk about him over and over again because I love his book and the things that he teaches in it. He is a huge believer in affirmations and journaling and getting your mindset straight. And I learned a lot from reading his first book, Miracle Morning. And I still use it to this day. And it has helped so much in the last few months. I think I started it back in September or October last year. I'm still doing it now. It makes a huge difference in my day-to-day life. But he was in a huge car accident, suffered real tangible brain damage, and lost all of his short-term memory. So months after he had recovered, he was also told he'd never walk again, but he got better and he's fine. And now he's actually like a ultra marathon runner. So he's doing fine these days. And his memory has come back. But in the beginning, in the first few months after his accident, whenever someone would say something simple like, hey, remind me of whatever later, he'd say, I have short-term memory loss. And that's it. That was to everything. Oh, hey, call me later. I can't remember because I have short-term memory loss. So he was reinforcing that thought that he can't. He'll never be able to again. And then he realized his error and started changing that. And so he would start every day with affirmations and journaling and talking to himself and reminding himself that his memory is getting better every day. His memory is getting better every day, or my memory in his case. My memory is getting better every day. My memory is getting better every day. And he said it to himself constantly. And then one day, without even thinking about it, his friend said, hey, remind me, I got to call you later, or something along those lines. And he just said, okay, I will. And then he heard his voice, coming out of his mouth and going into his ears. He heard his words and stopped and realized, oh my gosh, I just agreed to remember something. My mindset has totally shifted. And that's what we can do. It takes time and it takes devotion every day to reminding yourself, to repeating these things, but you can change slowly over time, baby steps compounded over time, and it'll make all the difference in your life. Now, a personal example from me. When I started reading the Miracle Morning, like I said, back in like September or October last year, and I thought he was crazy. The whole premise of the book is to get up early, an hour earlier than usual, so you have a full hour to yourself in the morning, undisturbed, where you can really think about your goals, your desires, your ambitions, plan out your day, and really get started with a lot of power and oomph instead of just like rolling out of bed and getting to work in 10 minutes and not really having a good start or foundation to your day. So I knew I needed that. And I was really skeptical, and I didn't think it was going to be possible for me because I still wasn't sleeping well with kids around. And I was staying up later and later each night. And so getting up early was really hard. So I was in a position where it was going to be quite a struggle to start getting up early, especially because my husband was like, well, you should just get up early with me. I'll help you get up out of bed. And I was like, that sounds great. And then I remembered, oh, you leave the house at 3:30 in the morning. I don't want to get up with you. Anyway, I took Hal Elrod's 30-day challenge, which was to create a new habit of getting up early, just waking up an hour earlier. Except that in my case, it was like waking up 4 hours earlier because I did want to do it with my husband. So my husband and I endeavored for a full month to get up at 2:30 in the morning every day and do this Miracle Morning thing for an hour. Didn't always work out to be for an hour. Sometimes it was just 10 minutes, but I did start getting up at 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, and we've kept it up since then. I mean, on holidays and when we're sick and things like that, we don't get up that early. And to be honest, now my husband's changed his morning schedule a little bit, or his routine a little bit, so we get up at 3:30 instead of 2:30. But we're still getting up at 3:30 every day, unless there's some real reason not to. And it's just normal life now. It took a couple of months. Well, it took about 3 weeks to really feel good about it. But that's the 3 phases of creating a new habit. The first 10 days are unbearable, and believe me, it was. The second 10 days were uncomfortable, and it still was. And the third 10 days, you start to feel unstoppable, and it truly is. Now, I mean, it's been months now, and we still get up that early. Jacob has to, because he has to leave here by 4 a.m. now for work. The time zone thing is weird for him because he has to observe daylight savings time when the rest of Arizona doesn't. So some parts of the year he wakes up at an hour earlier than other parts. Anyway, so that's my personal story. I know this is true, that you can use things like mantras, affirmations, pep talks, journaling. Tiffany mentioned journaling last week, which I think is a great idea. Actually writing down your goals every single day, because that not only gets it straight in your head every day, but it also reinforces those brain grooves. And since you're using multiple senses, if you write it and you see it, you use your hand, you could say it out loud. So you're using like every sense you can except looking at the paper. and reinforcing it even more. Visualization, visualizing your goals and the steps it'll take to get there. All of these things help to reinforce. Okay, I'm going way over time here. I want to keep it short, but I wanted to stick that bug in your ear because I want you to start doing it now. So as an assignment or a challenge, I want you to tell me again, what are your goals right now? What one thing, maybe two, what one thing are you really focusing on right now? Write it down on a piece of paper, say it out loud to yourself, and volunteer to remind yourself every day through a mantra, through an affirmation, through a visualization, through a little pep talk, through journaling. Somehow every day reinforce this in your head and leave a comment below with what it is that you're still working on. All right, see ya.